must not be racist, right?
I am racist.
Alright, so before we get into the rest of this video, let me just state that this isn't a bad video by any means. Like throughout it, I only had a slight few problems with certain things in this, but overall, just to be clear, this isn't a video to get angry about or to make a stink over. It's honestly kind of refreshing to see, really, so let's just go ahead and continue with it, shall we?
My name is Jacob Kamaunu, and I am a restaurateur.
My name is Mike Mello, and I have light perception, so I can tell like that the lights are on or the studio lights are on, but I can't like see anything else.
I can't see anything, no lights, no color, anything. Totally dark.
Are you racist?
No.
Are you racist?
No.
I would like to think that I'm not. However, there are those stereotypes that have been instilled in everyone.
I am racist because I think every white person is racist.
Ooh, yeah. So as some of you are well aware by now, I think that this idea is very stupid and nonsensical. Any person of any race can be a racist. I feel like I don't even need to state that at this point. It's pretty evident by now. I feel like it's been stated a million times over at this point.
I participate in institutions, like I benefit from capitalism, which was built on slavery and racism.
Okay, well that's a pretty simplistic perspective on it. I mean, any country with any social system, any kind of economic stratification, has had their share of skeletons in the closet. Like, yes, we were a country that at one time had slavery. We were the third country that abolished slavery. Yeah, a lot of people think we were the first, but we were the third. It turns out Denmark was the first country to chronologically do it. Great Britain was the second, and the US was the third. The last country to abolish slavery was Mauritania, and still to this day, they have illegal slave trade going on there. And I'm not seeing any people up in arms about that current thing that's happening over there, as opposed to the sins of the past over here. I mean, hey, if you think you're racist, if you want to say you're racist, whatever, I mean, that statement
I think every white person is racist.
is a racist thing to say in and of itself.
I've experienced racism, but I don't let it bother me. I think allowing it to affect me gives them the upper hand.
Take note as this man, in addition to a few other people in this video, is a good voice of reason. But we actually do see many different perspectives across the video, like the girl with the blue shirt before. Even though I disagree with her opinion, it's still giving us her perspective, and rightfully so. She's definitely allowed to. In truth, they at least open the door for more conversation about this and get different ideas flowing.
Are you racist?
No,
Why?
because I can't see.
Blindness does sometimes take those racial cues out of society, because if I can't tell by someone's voice or accent or whatever, like I have no idea.
I've noticed with a lot of people I meet, I don't really find out what their race is until a while after we meet.
You know, we don't necessarily go around asking, oh, are you black, are you white, you know? You are who you are as far as I'm concerned.
A very good point, and not a bad idea to teach. It shouldn't really matter. You are you.
I work with a person who's Japanese, but I would have no idea unless she told me. Like, there's just no like cue that I have.
I can tell more or less if the person's Caucasian, black, Mexican, you know, whatever it might be.
How can you tell?
By their voice, accent.
Like seeing someone's skin color, I think, is not the only way that we differentiate people's like culture or race.
I can pick out dialects and sometimes try to associate them with what race they might be. I wish I could just completely just ignore it, but I can't help it.
Wait, why are you making it seem like such a bad thing? I mean, I understand you lacking one of the most important out of the 5 senses limits you in that capacity. How else are you supposed to guess what skin color they are unless they tell you? Unless you can touch them and figure it out, which I don't think a lot of people would be comfortable with you doing that, nor would I think it determine anything. The only thing left is taste and smell, and that's just ridiculous. Like, it's a thing that's necessary to do, and I don't think you should fault yourself for it, nor others should blame you for it or make you feel guilty about it, especially when you don't know.
If I'm walking down the street and I hear a couple of people and they're like aggressively talking to each other, and it's slang and vulgar speech and it's not eloquent, I naturally sometimes think, oh, those people might be black because of their accent. I shouldn't think like that, but there are natural stereotypes out there in the world.
Sure, I agree to an extent, but at the same time, your intent isn't racism or to be racist, you know? At least from what you're describing, you're trying to manifest or visualize someone based off tones and mannerisms. I honestly don't see the big issue in doing that. I really don't. If someone really gets offended over that, I don't think that should be their reaction.
Can you tell someone's race by their voice?
No,
What do you think my race is?
I don't know. I don't know.
You could hear the way someone speaks and make a determination about them that could be completely inaccurate because you just don't know.
I've had experiences where I've known, a person for probably a year and a half or so, and they never knew I was black. Ironically, this was another black person. It was like, you're black? And I was, yeah, I'm black. So.
I believe there's racism within the blind community because there's racism everywhere, and the blind community is no exception.
Fair enough, however, it's very minute than you're making it out to be. Not a vocal majority, and many people have spoken out in detest of it.
I think it's their upbringing, how they were raised.
I grew up in North Idaho, and I wasn't exposed to a lot of people from different cultures. And I grew up in a home with my dad, who was pretty racist in the term I want to use, but pretty vocal about identifying people by their race. Like, it's just how he grew up.
I'm from India, and my dad, he's a different complexion, and they got married each other, and they are like a pretty, happy couple. And it's a good example for us,
Have you ever experienced racism within the blind community?
If I did, I probably didn't recognize it because I don't look for it.
The issues I've seen the blind community kind of take on, maybe they tend to be more like white issues. One thing I haven't seen the blind community collectively work on is housing justice.
Well, honestly, I don't see much correlation there because housing justice involves white people as well. I guarantee there are white families with very low income living in impoverished neighborhoods, but just because they don't focus on a specific issue like that doesn't necessarily mean it's due to racism. Not saying housing justice isn't an important thing, but I'm not going to say it's due to racism being the reason, especially if we're talking about the blind community in general. I'm very skeptical towards that claim.
And I'm complicit in this too, right? Because I'm a blind person, right? So I could be the person to organize, and I'm not.
People who are blind come in all shapes, sizes, economic backgrounds, beliefs, and some of them are racist. That's something that we, as a society in general, blindness excluded, need to work on being better at.
Well, I couldn't say it better myself. I think that's a pretty good note to end on, really, and again, not that this is necessarily a bad video. Aside from just a few questionable things here and there, overall, I respect their opinions on this video, but really, though, just really?
Every white person is racist.
I'm sorry, but seriously, come on, that's just silly.